As my good friend Tina has already surmised, I do indeed have a lot of stuff on tonight's agenda, including Voltron, Nicolas Cage, James Gunn. Your questions will be answered along with a bunch of other stuff, so stay tuned. I definitely don't have long enough intro. That intro is way too short. There's just not enough time for me to get my face on, as you can tell by this massive pimple on my face. I want to welcome you guys to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today, and I am Reggie, your host. And I definitely appreciate you all spending a little bit of time with me on this Wednesday night, the best day of the week, because it is New Comic Book Day. At least for many of us. A lot of folks are still affected for one reason or another by delayed shipments all across North America, but fingers crossed you were able to get your hands on at least some comic books this week. And in a moment, I'm going to be going to the live chat to see what it is that you may have picked up at your LCS. And if you want to shout out your LCS, you can do that as well. We always do this as part of the Wednesday show, again, because it's a celebration of New Comic Book Day. But as I alluded to, there are several questions that have found their way to me through Discord and also through Instagram that I'm going to attempt to sprinkle throughout tonight's show. And I'll be addressing those questions to the best of my ability. In addition to talking about movies, TV shows, and a real live hero that someone hipped me to earlier this week. I also have some announcements that I'll do here in just a hot second. But as a reminder, this show that you are watching right now, if you're here live and if you're on YouTube, period, on replay, this show will be rebroadcast as part of our podcast, which is released every single Monday morning at 10 a.m. My brother bundles this content up and pushes it out to your favorite podcasting platform. It really doesn't matter which one. If you search for Regie Collects, you will find me there, and you can take some Reggie on the go as you go about whatever the task is that you might be doing, driving, working out, yard work, whatever it is, work. You can take some Reggie on the go. All right, with that said, a couple of quick announcements here before we get going. All of the Swoldier supply boxes that have been ordered either as a subscription or as an individual box have all been mailed out. We received the awesome boxes from Reptilian Overlord, and I immediately started boxing things up, packaging things up to get out to you guys. So all of that stuff has been ordered. There are still some Swoldier supply boxes available. You can either sign up for the subscription or you can get the single box. All of that information is on regiecollects.com. There was a new person that commented on a comment that I left on the community tab that didn't quite know what the Swoldier supply box was. It is essentially 2 pounds of comics and comic supplies, bags and boards, stickers, I mean, all mounts, all kinds of good stuff in there. Discount codes from our friends over at Shortbox, where you can actually save $15 on a purchase on their app. And as a reminder, if you do post up your box on social media, make sure you turn the Shortbox card over so as to not disclose the code. Don't give away $15 that you had to technically pay for. Don't give it away. So make sure that the code is face down when you actually snap your photo. There was a couple of people that inadvertently did that the other way the last month when we shipped these out. The other thing is I sent out a ton of Patreon AOKs. So if you are a Patreon member and you join, and as soon as you reach $50 worth of contributions to the channel, I bundle up some stuff and send it out to you. So I sent out a bunch of Patreon AOKs. There are some of you that are well beyond that $50 mark. I am, as I mentioned in the Patreon the other day, working on something that I'll be sending out to you guys that I think is really awesome. I hope you will enjoy it. It seemed like most of you wanted this to be a surprise, so I will not tell you what it is. It will magically appear, and I'm talking about people like Tina, Wayne, Climbing Comics, right? Randy Resnake, folks that have been long-term Patreon members. They will be able to get something really nice, so stay tuned. When it comes in, I will let you know. as soon as it hits the mail. I won't tell you when they arrive. I'll tell you when it's in the mail en route to you guys. All right. So with that, let me go to the chat real quick to see what you guys are talking about. And again, if you hit your LCS up today, you picked up some good books. Let me know what you picked up. And again, if you want to shout out your LCS, let me know. Trying to figure out the wall changes. There are probably 6 new books up there, and at least one of them is crooked. At least 6 new books, I think, and at least one of them is crooked. There you go. Scrolling through. L. Smith is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Mark says he picked up 27 books, including Human Target, Count Crawley, We Have Demons, Philadelphia, Ghost Cage, Time Before Time, The Last Book You'll Ever Read. Wow, that's a little scary. All right, so he picked up a ton of good stuff. Mark, I'm glad you were able to get your books up there, brother, in Canada. I was definitely thinking about you when I made comments about those delays. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Steve says the Wolverine patch Scotty Young variant is awesome this week. That's what's up. Icebox Comics and Games sent in his very first CGC submission and felt comfortable doing. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, brother. You know, the thing is, my belief is this, is that part of the anxiety just comes from the uncertainty of the process and the steps to do it and to do it the right way. And so the videos are designed to demystify the process and to de-risk it and to make it not a daunting task. Now, some of us still have some, attachment anxiety from giving up something that's been in our possession for long periods of time in many cases, and giving up out of our possession something that potentially is also expensive. Can't help you with that. I can't help you with that, but I will attempt to demystify the process and answer as many questions as I possibly can. So you are very welcome. Desire Comics is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Thor is slipping off the wall. Hey, man, it happens, man. Stuff happens around here. You never know. You never know what will fall and hit that wall and knock something down. It's happened at least 3 times. Scrolling through the comments here. Let me see. I'm scrolling through the comments. My comic shop delivered Punisher 1 today. All the talk about it convinced me to buy it and read it. Turbo Man, let me know what you think, brother. Let me know what you think. In an upcoming video, I'll show you my copy of Punisher issue number 1. You have to stay tuned for the video to see which one I picked up, but read it and let me know what you think. Liger Style is in the house. It is good to see you, brother. Scrolling through the comments here. Scrolling. I'm in the middle of writing my own comic book theme story right now, and I really enjoy it. Hail the Lord. That's what's up. Scrolling through. As soon as I picked up my first Marvel book today, I went like, what is this? Stay tuned because, well, let's do it. Let's do it right now. So one of the questions that found its way to me was already something that I was planning to talk about. And one of the questions here, let me see if I can find it. Where did it go? All right. So Steve, my man Steve, who literally just commented here a second ago, said, what's up with the paper quality from Marvel this week? Now, the question around this week will depend upon where you are in the country and whether you get your books in a timely manner. So this week could have been last week for some, and it might be next week for some of you. But I did receive a message earlier today from Comic Garage on Instagram, who reached out to me, said that he received something from his LCS about the books coming out from Marvel. I reached out to a couple of my buddies who own LCSs and confirmed that this is true. Essentially, what this says is that some of the Marvel issues that this shop received this week have been printed on a notably lower quality paper stock, a thin, flimsy paper of the same stock as the interior pages. One of my LCSs actually said that the paper used for the cover is actually more flimsy than the interior pages, but I'll continue reading this. It says, because of the lower quality paper, many of these issues are a little more dinged up than we usually expect when receiving new issues from publishers. As a result, our stock of these issues will contain a higher ratio of very fine or FN or fine copies than usual, with fewer near mint available. And they highlighted some of the affected titles, including Iron Man 18, Maestro Worlds 2, Savage Spider-Man 2, Shang-Chi issue number 10, and also Miles Morales issue number 36, and Silk 3. And talking with at least one of my other comic shops, they made mention that this is not necessarily something new. This is something that Marvel has actually done periodically as of late. I think it's related to the paper shortage. And so there you go. There could be some really awful copies of comics that are finding their way to a pull list near you. So shout out to Steve for asking that question, and also Comic Garage for flagging that for me earlier today, and also Crush Comics, and Castro Valley. Andrea, I'm looking at you. Thank you very much for the cosign of that. All right. You got to understand, Marvel's a small company. What is that? I thought my LCS was selling Marvel toilet paper. So that was the other point. That this let me see if let me go back to it. Steve White, and Steve submitted his question via Discord into Instagram and into my inbox. So shout out to Steve for being part of the Discord platform. We definitely appreciate you, brother. Scrolling back to the comments here, it says it might make those issues in a 9.8 more collectible in later years. I guess if there's a bright spot, this LCS has identified the bright spot, which is the fact that maybe these issues at a 9.8 will be better, because as we just heard from Kingpin Comics, it's tissue paper out there. It's tissue paper out there, folks. Iron Man 18, Maestro World 2, Savage Spider-Man 2, Shang-Chi issue number 10, Miles Morales 36, and Silk 3 are just some of the books that have been identified. All right. So I think we've covered off on that one. Scrolling through. What is that? Noel said, just saying hello. This is one of the shows that keeps me awake while I work. More power to y'all. Noel, more power to you, sir. More power and more coffee headed your way. Thank you for keeping us on as you get the work done. Got my 1 in 25 Gardner Batman secret files from eBay too, says Vox. That's what's up. Silk paper, not toilet paper, silk paper. There you go. I got the Shang-Chi. All right, there you go. All right, cool. So we caught up on that one. And again, I'm going to try to sprinkle in some of these questions that have found their way to me. One of the other things I wanted to hip you guys to is that there's a moment earlier this week where Tina brought some news to me where like real life imitated art or art imitated life. It wasn't quite clear to me what was at work, but she sent me this link and I click on it. I think it was Entertainment Tonight, and it was basically a 46-year-old's comic book writer. Now you can picture that. You can picture that. I know you can. A 46-year-old comic book writer. Wait a minute. I'm 45. Never mind. So a comic book writer in Brooklyn, New York, sees a gang of teenagers assaulting a young girl, has her face pinned against a car window. Her arm is behind her back. What does a comic book writer do? He intervenes. He intervenes and encourages these young men to leave this woman alone. And of course, you know what they do. They assault him. They punch him in his face. He suffered a fractured cheek. One of them threw a trash can at him. It was a really small trash can, so I don't think that hurt. But the boulder that the young man picked up and threw at him that struck the writer in the side, causing kidney damage, definitely will mess some stuff up. That guy has been arrested and I do believe charged. But this was the article that came out on comicbook.com. Comic book writer saves girl from alleged attackers. And so again, I'm not going to read through this article because I've essentially given you the gist of it, but David Gallagher is the comic book writer. He's written some stuff down here. Let me see. Well, let me see if we can find it. He's written comics and also video games. Tom Clancy, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Marvel's Untold, Tales of Spider-Man, Winter Guard, Green Lantern, Deadlands, and a few other things. I felt like he also has been doing some stuff for Archie Comics as well, because at one point in the video clip, he was actually flipping through an Archie comic talking about the Shield, and you guys know that Rob Liefeld actually did some stuff on that. So that was a little confusing to me, but this guy intervenes. He got injured, and the young girl was clearly saved. But yeah, they picked up literally a boulder, threw it at this guy, and it struck him in his side. It says 16-year-old girl here. I thought it was 13. So clearly I was incorrect in that. But shout out to Tina for bringing this to my attention, and also shout out David Gallagher for stepping up and getting involved. And it says here he has played in both Marvel and DC superheroes, and as you just saw, also Image as well. I think he's also written a couple of comic books himself. So again, a really interesting thing that I wanted to kind of flag for you guys. So what is that? There are heroes out there every day. They are amazing, no doubt about it. And the thing that struck me, that struck me was that there was somebody filming the entire scene, filming the entire thing from the safety of their window. And I'm like, did you at least call the police to get this guy some help? And then where was everybody else when this guy was trying to stop this 16-year-old girl from getting assaulted? It's just fascinating. William picked up some stuff. He picked up Gunslinger Spawn 6, all new Firefly, Devil's Reign, X-Men issue number 3, Icon and Rocket issue number 6, the 10 Deaths of Wolverine, Philadelphia, and a few other things. William, I think that I bundled something up for you as well to send out to you. You should get that in a matter of days. Shout out to you, and thank you for supporting the channel. So let me scroll. Mark says, I'm kind of surprised that Marvel hasn't changed to bamboo paper grows faster and there wouldn't be a shortage, says Mark. Are there any comics that are using bamboo paper? I'm not in the print industry. But help me out with that. If there's comics that are actually using using bamboo paper for comics, let me know. No, brother, it's not New York, it's Miami. Miami is bananas right now. It really is. I was just watching that on the news a little while ago before coming up here to the comic book room. So let me see, scrolling through. Okay, cool. It was you know how you guys like have like one tree per block there in Brooklyn. He found that one tree on that block, and it had like some stone masonry around it, and one of the boulders was loose, and he literally picked it up and hurled it at this guy. It was crazy, man. Crazy stuff. You know, that one tree. And what was crazy is when the guy, I think from Entertainment Tonight, was back on the scene, they had picked that boulder up and put it back in its place because he went over. He picked up the trash can. He picked up the boulder. So, you know, that's a famous boulder. I have a feeling that boulder is going to disappear really soon. So, oh my goodness. Yeah. What's crazy, and I told Tina this, what was crazy is that just the day before she sent that to me, I actually saw a clip of a police officer fighting some guy. So a police officer was struck by some guy that he was attempting to have a conversation with. And then all of a sudden you saw a semi truck pull over, and the semi truck guy jump out, and you see, I think it was like one or two pickup trucks jumped out to try to help this officer that was clearly in distress, you know. So it's a crazy thing. And the one thing I took comfort with was in that situation, it was the dash cam that caught the video. It wasn't some spectator that was standing by. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've never really had to intervene in stuff like that, but I have intervened with fires. I actually put out 2 small fires when I lived in California. I was just driving down the street, and I just saw fires on the side of the road or in the median, like burning. And each time people pulled up to help, offering water and all that kind of stuff. So just crazy stuff happening out there. Boulder's going to be on eBay. Oh man, that comic book writer is probably going to write that Boulder into a new story. That's going to be a new character. That is going to be a new character in the Shield comic. Are they still making that Shield comic from Archie? Like, I talked about that many months ago, but I don't think I've ever seen a hard copy. Does anybody have the new Shield comic from Archie? Shout out if you do. Let me know if you actually have that. When will evildoers understand that there are cameras everywhere? Well said. Well said. Wait, there you go. Just watched the video of Gallagher getting punched by the gangsters. He took some serious shots, but didn't let. I mean, he's also a big man. I mean, I think he's a thick guy, but still, man, they gotta be. The Brooklyn Boulder. Well done, Phil. I think I bundled something up for you as well. I could be mistaken. There's a lot of Phils and Matts and Johns and Squirrel Madnesses around here. You never know. All right, so let me do another couple of questions here. I may need to get my wife to turn the heat off. I'm almost in a flop sweat here. Almost in a flop sweat trying to entertain you guys. All right. So there was another question. Let me see. I don't want to read that one yet. Top 5 characters you'd like to see in the MCU. My top 5, and I wrote them down. Submariner. Bring him Mark with the wings on his ankles, not painted on the side of his high tops, but wings on his ankles. Wolverine, a no-brainer. Ghost Rider, because I did Ghost Rider, and you guys just saw my post up that I put on Instagram. And then Blade, because there's a rumor that there's a Blade movie coming, but when is the Blade movie coming? That's what I want to know. And then the Gibbet. I mean, you cannot have an MCU without Blade, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Submariner, and the Gibbon. He is, after all, Marvel's next greatest superhero. So there you go. Another question that I received was most annoying, and that one was from Bizman Art. This one, I cannot read that. That font is way too small. It's a very long name and it all runs together. Most annoying thing about being a YouTuber. I have 3 things that I've written down. One of the challenges that I sometimes face is that I can't fully appreciate the tone and the context for comments that are left on videos. And sometimes I misinterpret the tone or the context. And what I mean by that is that people will make comments where they're agreeing with what I'm saying, but you can't really tell that they're agreeing with what you're saying because of how they're phrasing it. Context is another. I think sometimes people comment on videos and they assume that I remember what happened in the video. I don't remember what happens in the video last week, much less the video from 3 years ago. So people leave comments and they're commenting on the video as if I'm watching it with them. And I'm like, you gotta help me out. Like, I need more context to understand your statement because you're watching it in context and commenting. So, the second thing is can't do it full time. I would love to do this YouTube thing full time. I would love to do it. That's not in the cards. The way that my bank account is set up is that it does not allow for that kind of action. Hopefully somebody appreciates that joke right there. What was that? Blade will be straight up. Yeah. All right. So the next one, the last one that I'll highlight here is that YouTube takes 30%. YouTube takes too much money, right? You guys will give super chats and things like that. They take 30%. That's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money, especially if you're talking about like a $5 super chat or something like that, which is why we use Patreon to help because they take 10%. I mean, that's still a lot, right? And then with the ad revenue, they still take a healthy amount of that, but there's not much that you can do about that. But those are I think the most annoying things. If I could put some, if I could list it out, those would probably be the 3 that I would identify. Anything else beyond that, it's just me whining, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Yeah, man. It's crazy, right? So one thing with YouTube is that they want you to do more. They want you to set up. I can't even remember what they call it. They have this feature where you can do, super stickers, and you can do all kinds of additional features beyond like super chats. But they still take 30% of it, right? And so it's like, yeah, well, you're offering me more stuff, but I'm potentially not going to see more of that money. You will see more of that money, right? That's why we do Patreon, because Patreon is only 10%. The problem with Patreon is that it's not a great platform. They had me do a survey the other day, and I was like, yeah, the reason I use you Patreon is because you're 10% versus YouTube's 30%. It's brutal, man. It's brutal. So YouTube reminds me of my ex. No, brother. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's like 50%. It's like 50%. You live in California. I know. Don't try that 30%. That's getting off easy. Uh, I get this question a lot. No, I was never in the military unless you count my mother and the fact that I grew up in Detroit. If you count my mother, Sheila was no joke. No joke. And Detroit was definitely no joke. But yeah, I get that question a lot. I have a tremendous amount of respect for people that are in the military, regardless of the branch. I have family members that have served. But that was not my path. That was not my path. Tremendous amount of respect for people that put on a uniform of any kind and go out and do the work that has to be done. But no, you're in good company though, Eddie. You're in good company. There are a lot of military people that surround this channel, and you will see a lot of military like things that I will talk about. Like Swoldiers is part military. I wear a lot of green and military stuff because I do appreciate that look. I have a tremendous amount of respect for that. But no, that was not my path. All right. Scrolling through 7 Mile, brother, 7 Mile. And a couple of people have met Sheila, she nice now. Back in the day, she was just nice with her hands, as my brother will tell you. All right, so let me go on. The next major topic that I want to talk about is James Gunn. We have spoken a lot about James Gunn over the last couple of months. We talked a lot about that. Oh, let me acknowledge this super chat real quick. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate the super chat. Before it gets away from me, because that will disappear. Pretty Fly, I appreciate you, brother. Nice change to the wall. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you guys appreciate that. It takes time. It takes time to pull those things down. But we spoke a lot over the last couple of weeks and months about James Gunn and what he's been working on, what he's been doing. We spoke a lot about Peacemaker and my struggles with Peacemaker, but the fact is, you guys encouraged me to stick with it. I did. It turned out to be really great. I don't know that I've watched the last issue or episode. I still haven't seen that. I don't think. But we know that Peacemaker is coming back for a season 2. We spoke about that. I think James Gunn is going off to do some things with Marvel. Then he's going to come back. He's going to do season 2 of Peacemaker. I don't think that we have a timetable for that, but Peacemaker has been renewed for a second season. And then there's a lot of discussion as to what James Gunn may do next. A lot of speculation about this. And so I found this article earlier and wanted to kind of share this with you guys. But it says James Gunn teases 2 bonkers DC projects after epic Peacemaker. And this article is like just a fun article talking about how there's a lot of generic shows out there that follow the same formula over and over again, and how James Gunn's Peacemaker is a breath of fresh air. Definitely quirky, definitely very odd, definitely does not fall in cleanly into any genre very easily. As you look at some of these inappropriate images, I think that it is this inappropriateness that made this show really fun and endearing to some people, to the point of it being a breath of fresh air. But there's a little bit of discussion where he talks about, let me see if I can find it here. It says, at this point in time, there's a wide array of possible choices Gunn can go. While the most obvious choice is to explore certain characters from the Suicide Squad, such as Harley Quinn or the Ratcatcher, there is a possibility that these projects will revolve around other rumored DC properties, such as Justice League Dark, which is something that has been talked about for a while, and also a Constantine revival. Again, again, something that's been discussed as well. Or for a while. What's clear though is that these properties will appear on television and not film. That is also something that has been discussed, that James seems to be done with movies, at least for a while, after the one that he's going to do for Marvel. And he seems to want to do more TV. And so whatever these two things are, it sounds like, people are going to be excited about it, and we will see what is actually going to roll out. This article doesn't really tell you what those things are. It is just full of a lot of images and banner ads. But I thought it was an interesting one that I wanted to kind of share with you guys. It just continues the whole conversation about what will James Gunn do next. We don't know, but it will be interesting, and we will definitely be watching it. No doubt about that. All right. I think Mark has seen this. He says he's seen this. He's seen Picard season 2. He was reaching out to me to watch it, and I no longer have the Paramount app. I did it for a short period of time, binge watch Star Trek, which I really enjoyed, and did not get a chance to check out Picard season 2. So I'm sure that there's some people in here that have actually checked it out. Are there some new people in here, Tina? Are there new people? What is that? James Gunn does not respect source material. Is that good or bad? I mean, like, is that good or bad, right? Because technically, I would say that he kind of sort of did respect it as it relates to Peacemaker, right? There wasn't a whole long history of this character, but that character, I feel like, is pretty authentic to the source material. But sometimes I think being beholden to the source material is part of what holds some people back, right? And that might also be why James chooses to mess around with D-list characters, because there is a freedom that comes in that with that, because there aren't these diehard fans, right? Like who among us was a Peacemaker fan or Vigilante fan before we heard that there was going to be a show? And now people are actually going out, finding the first appearance and the first cover appearance of Peacemaker and all that kind of stuff. So James Gunn needs to do DC Blue Devil from the 80s, says L. Smith. Start a campaign, brother. Let's get on the Twitter. Let's get on the Twitter and start the campaign. If you are new here, make sure you let us know that this is your first time so that we can welcome you properly. Sometimes if I don't see it, it gets past me here. So let me know if this is your first time. I will pause a second. He did not read the comics and told John not to read them either. Again, the thing about let's break it down, right? So I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the one woman, Zoe, that is playing Catwoman in the movie. She read a little bit of the comic and then backed away because her whole thing was she didn't want to be overwhelmed by some of that. And that movie turned out to be pretty darn good, right? $600 million is what it's brought in. So I don't know. I don't know if reading the comics is always required if the end product is really a fabulous product, right? Again, you could adhere to canon and to the source material and it turn out really poorly, right? And I think we've probably seen some examples of that where people have adhered to the source material and it turned out to not be a good movie. Guardians of the Galaxy. Who saw that coming? How many of us even read Guardians of the Galaxy back in the day? Who saw that coming? And it was honestly fantastic. Fantastic. Let me see. Scrolling through the comments here, seeing what else you guys are talking about. Scrolling. I was and I believe you were by yourself, sir. I'm gonna go ahead and say you and maybe Chuck. Justin, how you doing? I definitely appreciate the kind words and thank you. Thank you, Justin, for spelling my name correctly. I definitely appreciate that. Shout out to Master Blaster. It's good to see another man that is continuing to serve this country. Shout out to you, brother. Icebox Comics and Games. This is his first live show that he has caught. Welcome to you. Welcome to Eddie. It is good to see you guys. I definitely appreciate it. This honestly is what makes the channel really wonderful. I will tell you that it's not the live show per se. it is the opportunity to interact with these folks, right? Your Daves, your Tinas, your Marks, your Pretty Flies, your Squirrel Madness. This is what it's about right here. Shout out to all of the regulars that show up every single week, and the folks that continue to make folks feel incredibly welcome when they show up. All right, let me keep rolling through this. Juggernaut, it's good to see you, brother. Let's do one more, maybe two more. Let's do maybe two more questions here. Let me see. We already talked about that. There's a question here from Chi, and I won't Chi 009. How do you go about making money out of the hobby on a very tight budget? I think that there's a lot of ways to make money in this hobby, right? One great way is to start a YouTube channel. I mean, you have to produce a lot of content to reach your, 4,000 watch hours. I don't know what the requirements are. It's been a while, but that's a great way to make some cash, right? It takes time. You have to invest in it, and it takes time. But that's one way. Another way, of course, is if you have tight money, you may have to spend some time hunting through long boxes, dollar bins, 50-cent bins, trying to find those books that others have missed, or books that are in there that have suddenly become hot for one reason or another. If you're able to find those books and leverage those books and sell them for more than what you paid, it's a really great position to be in. Right now, you have to probably, kiss a lot of frogs, go through a lot of long boxes in order to find those books and find the right shops that won't immediately go to eBay to look it up to change the price from $1 or 50 cents or whatever it happens to be. That's one great way. Going to cons and doing the same thing, going to antique stores, hunting locally using Craigslist and other apps is another great way to find books and or collections that may not have been picked over, that may not be at the full price. Those are just some of the ways that readily come to my mind that you could potentially make some money. Now, how much money? I don't know. I don't know what you consider a tight budget, and I don't know what money is to you, because everyone has a different definition. But the old idea of buy low, sell high is that's the name of the game, right? Finding these books that others have missed and trying to sell them off for a profit is not a bad way to go to start a little bankroll. I would always say sending books in to be graded was another way to make money, but right now with the turnaround times, you can definitely miss your window. So I think hunting and pecking through a lot of these raw books, long bins, is potentially the way to go. What books are you looking to get graded in the near future? That came from Steve. Stay tuned for the video. We're not going to give that away here. Let me see. So another question that came in, what platforms do you suggest a person starting off selling comics should use? Is eBay okay? What I would say to you is that eBay is perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with eBay. It's a great platform. I have nothing against that platform. I personally don't really sell there, but I don't think that it's a bad platform if you decide to go that route. Other options, of course, include various sponsors of this channel, right? Shortbox, wonderful app for buying and selling comics. I'm a huge fan of the owners of Shortbox. They're good people. That's not a bad way to go, but the book has to be graded, right? So just be aware of that. Hip Comic is another sponsor of the channel, another great platform and another way to go that I recommend. And last but not least, this one right here.
The platform designed by collectors for collectors just got even better. MySlabs.com is proud to now feature dedicated sections for both raw cards and raw comic books. Browse over 100,000 slab collectibles, authenticated by the industry's most trusted grading companies. Then check out a massive selection of sealed wax and now raw singles and raw lots. Join a passionate, no-nonsense community of nearly 50,000 members and enjoy some of the best buyer and seller protection in the business. And as always, MySlabs offers one of the most disruptive pricing models in the hobby, with seller fees as low as only 1%. So the next time you're forced to pay 10%, 20%, or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com the low-fee marketplace by collectors for collectors.
I am very thankful for that commercial. I'll be honest with you, because I was able to go check the heat. The heat is not on. I'm just sweaty. All right. There was a question here about Whatnot. Whatnot is another app that's out there. I have never used Whatnot, and you will probably never see me on Whatnot for a few different reasons that we will not talk about here. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of great ways to go. eBay is just one of many platforms out there, and I've identified a couple that I think are really great. And again, I'm a big fan of trying to do business with platforms and companies that are about this community, that are like part of it, versus, you know, an outside force that is trying to come in. And that's part of the reason, again, why I like Shortbox, Hip Comic, and MySlab. They are investing in the community. They are collectors. And I kind of dig that versus, you know, an outside type of entity. And there's some things that eBay is doing that we may talk about here in the near term. I got wind of something a few weeks ago, and I haven't had a chance to talk about it, but we may at some point. So for those folks that are coming in a little late, we are doing a little bit of riff. We're talking about movies. We're talking about TV shows. I'm trying to answer some questions that have found their way to me via Instagram. And generally, I think we're having a good time as well. So we've already spoken about several things, including just a few seconds ago, James Gunn. So the next topic that I want to share with you guys. Yeah. Oh, so here, Juggernaut's asking this question. This is a new thing, Juggernaut, that MySlabs just rolled out maybe 3 weeks ago. Ken, the CEO over there, reached out to me. You can now do raw comics as well. So your graded comics are sold at 1%. And your raw comics, I think, are 3%. But yeah, they started that just a couple of weeks ago. So it's a relatively new thing. And again, you know, tell them Regie sent you if you guys decide to head that way and join up. But these are all really great platforms. All right. So one of the other big rumors out there is around Nicolas Cage, and whether Nicolas Cage is going to be Ghost Rider, whether he's going to appear in the Doctor Strange movie. A lot of swirl and speculation about this. The long and short is that he's not. The long and short is that he's not. This is actually an article that appeared on comicbook.com. There was a long video here that I would play for you, but it would probably get flagged if I decided to do it. But it's this whole thing about whether Nicolas Cage has been approached by Kevin Feige to be to reprise his role in Ghost Rider, whether he's going to do a cameo appearance in the new Doctor Strange movie, whether he would be interested in being in the MCU. And no one says no, that they don't want to be in the MCU, but he also identified that he has not been approached, but would be interested, of course. So for those folks that are saying that Nicolas Cage is going to be in Doctor Strange, it does not appear to be the case. And again, there's a whole video there that you can watch if you choose to. He's interviewed by some guy walking the red carpet. And at the very end, they kind of ask about Doctor Strange, and he doesn't really answer the question there. But I think there was another interview that this writer captured the quotes where he was making the statements about not being in it, etc., etc. So not a whole lot of excitement there. What is that? Squirrel Man that says Whatnot is now expanding to include Canadian sellers. That's what's up. I know you guys up there in Canada have been looking for some folks to make a move into Canada to be able to support you as collectors. So I'm glad to hear that Whatnot is actually doing that for you guys. That's good. That's good. Nick Cage would be in the theater watching Dr. There you go. There you go. Let me see. What Frog, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Welcome to the live stream. Icebox says, I found it easy to to tell on Whatnot which people care about the hobby and those which are just trying to trick you for extra cash. That's one of the things, honestly, that Doug and I spoke about many months ago, about how, you guys know this. We've said this a lot. Anytime money is involved, there's going to be bad actors, and there's definitely some bad actors out there. Is this directed at me? If Invincible the cartoon, Super Space Ape, if you're asking about Invincible the cartoon, I've watched 15 minutes of it. Yes. Yes, that was all that I could do. That was all that I could do. I'm not big on cartoons. So no, I haven't seen a lot of that. Scrolling through some of the comments here, you guys are having a little bit of back and forth. That's what's up. I definitely encourage that. Brother, I don't live in California anymore, my friend. I live in North Carolina, and it was 61 degrees this morning, my friend, and raining. So yeah, we use some heat, brother. We use lots of heat over here. Scrolling through the comments here. All right, I think I'm all caught up. I have not seen DMZ yet on Netflix. I have not seen it yet. I'm going to try to check that out with Rosario Dawson. I think that's her name. I'm a fan of hers, so I'm definitely going to try to check that out. All right, let me see. We have one more thing that I want to get to, and let me see if there's other questions in here that I can answer. There was a guy here, Baron. I think that's how you say that. I'm not quite. If I'm butchering your name, apologies. Okay, apologies to all those people that I butchered their name. He says, Rookie here. Thoughts on collecting villains versus first appearance? I'm sorry, villain first appearances. Any tips? I would say you should collect whatever it is that you enjoy, and if you decide that villain first appearances are it, I say go for it. I would say do not overpay for those first appearances, right? Generally speaking, I'm going to make a general statement, but I'm caveating it. Villain first appearances, I don't think skyrocket in value, right? But they will spike if something happens. You just want to make sure that if you buy it, you're not buying it at the spike, right? Because it probably will not stay that high. But villain first appearances are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. My tips would be just what I said. Don't overpay. Don't catch the brick. Be smart about how you're spending your money. And just buy smartly. I think that if there's other people that have tips in here, drop those comments. I do like Con Air. I do like Con Air. I can get on board with that. Any interest in foreign books? Is that directed at me? If that's directed at me, the answer would be no. I don't do foreign language. I had somebody send me something the other day. I don't do foreign language comics. That's just not, it's not my jam. It's not my jam. I like to read the comics. I like to read them, and I only speak English most of the time. Only most of the time. If you could recommend one book for someone to read, what would it be? This is from Chris Bigger. I don't know. I mean, I'm a big fan of, is it ASM 33? I think it's 33, the volume 1, the very moral story. Again, it's one of my preferred comics. Wonderful water cover. The morality in it, I kind of dig that. But if there was only one, I don't know. I don't know what the recommendation would be. It's really hard because, you want to tailor the advice to the person, and without knowing the person and their interests, it's really difficult to say. It's tough to make a recommendation there. Scrolling through, I answered that one. Bought a copy of Bone 2. This is from Daniel. Was wondering if it was worth getting graded. The book looks amazing. I would say that you would have to do a dirty grade of that comic to determine if the grade warrants the cost associated with submitting that book. And I actually released a video recently in which I actually talk about the cost versus value and making sure that the book that you send in actually makes a whole lot of sense. As I glance here at the price guide, I use Go Collect. You can see that at 9.8, there's only 10 of them on the census. Last sold in 2014 for about $600. 9.6 goes for $325. I mean, it seems like as long as the book is above, roughly a 7.5, there's an opportunity to make magic. And I say that because that's essentially where the data ends. A 7.5 has an FMV of $150, which again is not bad. If you look at the cost, assuming your cost is $50, that's $100 profit. That's not bad. So again, it depends upon how the book actually looks. It depends upon what you're trying to do with the book long term. But it does not seem like a bad way to go. I need to make sure that the people that submitted these questions on Instagram come here to watch the response, because this is good stuff. I'm letting out here. Has there been a comic book that you regret buying? No. No. What I mean by that, like, there's no book that I bought where I'm like, man, I should not have bought that. My regret around books oftentimes is I wish that I had bought a higher grade, right? Because especially if I spend like real money on a book, if I spend real money on a book, I want that book, right? And I thought about that book, I thought about that grade, right? And I pulled the trigger. But the regret for me comes in, I should have bought a higher grade, or I should have bought the same grade without the defect that irritates me, right? So I have X-Men 101, really wonderful book, great cover, had it signed by Chris Claremont. Like, I literally handed it to Chris myself. He signed it and it got graded by CGC. It has a really wonderful, that's sarcasm, wrap where you can see the white from the back of the book down the left side. It grates my cheese. I hate it. But there's nothing I can do about that, right? I wish that I had had a higher grade of that, but the price of that was so amazing. There are other books like that. I always talk about this one, Amazing Spider-Man issue 129, right? It's the first appearance of Punisher. It was one of the first graded books that I purchased, one of the first expensive books that I purchased. And I wish that I had added a couple of more bucks to it and bought a slightly higher grade, right? The grade that I have is great, but I wish I had a higher grade, had a higher grade. So, but yeah, I try not to live in regret, to be honest with you, I try not to live in the past as best I can. I try to make informed decisions. 101, yeah, it's awful. It's awful. It's awful. But I bought it at a great price. There was a guy on Instagram that I met that I still talk to off and on to this day, and it was a great price, and I bought it smartly. But it had not a great rap. But what can you do? What can you do? I passed on a CGC 10 of Killing Joke around 15 years back. Regret it. Oof. It's best not to think about these things. I'm going to be honest with you. It's like sending books in to be graded. It's best to forget about them. Send them and forget about them. If you make a bad decision, and know it's hard, it's easier to say than it is to do. Sometimes you just have to forget about it and you just have to move on. Otherwise, you will drive yourself crazy. I have flashbacks to this day of stupid stuff that I did in college. I try to block that stuff. As soon as it hits my head, I try to push it out of my mind, because we are a long ways away from college days, but it's like in your head, man. It's in your head. Let me see, scrolling through. Yeah, I was very new to CGC at the time, and I had no idea that a 10 was so rare. It was brutal. I backed out of FF1 4.0 for 18K. Man, so all parts of that statement hurt me. I'm going to be honest with you. All parts of that statement hurt me, because that's a lot of money. And that's a good grade. And that's a wonderful book. And then you backed out. Like, just it all hurts me. It all hurts me, brother. It all hurts me. Scrolling through. What is it? All right. So Reggie says, a wife and I went to a dollar bin store in Southern Maryland, picked up 97 books, paid $80, and 4 Grail books for $40 that had price tags over 100. Outstanding deals. There you go. Which part of Southern Maryland? Were you in Waldorf? Where were you down there? Those used to be my hunting grounds, my friend. Used to be my hunting grounds. There you go. Nino, reach out to Steve Conge on Instagram. Steve has a amazing collection of Spawn books. He also has a Spawn group that helps people to find books that they cannot locate. If you cannot remember Steve Conge, Cange, if you message me on Instagram, I will put you in touch with Steve, and he should be able to help you. Yes, 18K is no joke. Madam Black, you remember those days. Oh man, I'm having a flashback now. Let me keep it moving. Let me keep it moving. All right. So the one last thing that I wanted to talk about, and we can continue to kind of talk through some of this stuff and have a little bit of fun. If you guys have additional questions, we can always do that. The last thing that I want to talk about is anime. We're going to talk about some anime, specifically in the form of Voltron. There is a bidding war that is happening right now as we speak. speak for a Voltron movie. Some folks rolled into LA with I think like a highlight reel and a pitch deck, and they have stirred up the works around Voltron. So a live action Voltron movie with Rawson Marshall Tuber, I guess it's Tuber. I guess it's like Thurber to direct ignites bidding war. And it says that the filmmaker behind Netflix hit Red Notice is attached to co-write and direct the project, which would be produced by Todd Lieberman and David, as well as World Events Publications. So World Events, Productions, I do believe is the company that owns the rights to Voltron. So this is being done in conjunction with them. A bidding war has erupted in Hollywood over Voltron, the anime featuring a giant robot that has amassed a popular following worldwide. Shout out to Kevin, I think it was, that rolled into the last Garage Con in California and handed me a copy of Voltron issue #1. Shout out to him. But it says Rawson, the guy behind Netflix, is Red Notice, is attached to co-write and direct the Voltron live action that has engendered multiple offers. And it says Warner Brothers, Universal, and Amazon are among the 6 or 7 studios and streamers in the mix for the package, according to sources. Netflix, which was behind Red Notice and streamed the animated series, is not in the running, sources say. They showed up, they hit the town about 2 weeks ago with pitches and a teaser reel, and they are trying to make some magic happen. So this article says that there is a chance that a deal could be wrapped up by the end of this weekend. That is how hot Voltron is. I hope that they make magic, because I enjoyed Voltron back in the day, and my boy is a fan of Voltron. He has the Voltron toys, so I'm definitely excited in this one. So I'm excited about this one. What does that say? At Toronto Con this past weekend, I had a line on a Voltron 1 9.8, but the guy was asking, oh my sweet Christmas, 30% above FMV. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. I probably should have bought my copy of Voltron, like my graded copy, before I did this live stream. But now I get to compete with 101 of you that may go out there and try to make some magic happen. Liger King couldn't stand Go-Go Bots, he said. Scrolling through, I can't hear Voltron without thinking about Eminem. There you go. That's what's up. All right. So that was the last big thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Let me go to Instagram real quick to see if any more questions have flowed in. Skinny Ray is having some fun over here. He sends me a message and he says, "When am I going to get my books back from CGC?" Send it and forget it, Skinny Ray. Okay, brother. I think that's all the questions. Well done. He says that was being rhetorical, so he knew he was having some fun with that one. But there you go. What is that? That is not a question. Okay, cool. All right, so I think we are all caught up on this. One other thing. What is that? Yeah, I think we talked about that. Oh, you know what? So somebody put up a post. I think it was comicbook.com, I want to say, on Instagram, and I commented on it. And the post said something about them turning a blind eye to people sharing passwords, that being Netflix, and how they're trying to crack down on it. And my comment was around turning a blind eye. Like, when have they ever actually turned a blind eye to that? Like, they've always tried to stop that, as far as I know. I also made a comment about how they limit the number of TV screens that you can actually use at the same time within your same household. They want you to pay extra to upgrade for that. And some people didn't like that comment. Some people did not like that comment for whatever reason. But yeah, for those that haven't seen this, Netflix is trying to crack down on this. Basically what they're doing, and I think they're testing it in some Asian countries, they are allowing you to add additional people. And I think the cost is like 30% of a full membership. Like that number 30 keeps coming up, right? Squirrel Madness passed on a book that was like 30% above FMV. YouTube takes 30% of my money, And now, Netflix is trying to get 30% of a full membership, which I think they say amounts to like just like $2 or $3 or something like that for most countries, I guess, where they have the platform. So they're trying it out. They're going to see whether they can make some magic on cutting this stuff down. So uh myself in comics says he has a question. How is everybody? I'll be honest with you, brother. I'm doing fantastic. I am living my best life, and I'm living my best life to a large part because my wife is now back in town. My wife has been out of town for a couple of days, and I was with my children for a few days. And I will say there is nothing that will make a grown man cry more than trying to do a young girl's hair at 7 o'clock in the morning. My daughter has so much hair, just so much hair, and I'm trying to spray it down and condition it and get it in the rubber bands. And it was difficult. It was difficult. I'm very thankful that my wife is back because, she could do what she does and I can do what I do. And there's a reason why, the two of us are a team. But myself in comics, I don't know if that was what you were interested in hearing about, but that's what you get for $1.99, brother. That is what you get, my friend. Scrolling through. Yeah, man. Chuck says you're giving me flashbacks to handling curly hair and toddlers, brother. It's brutal. It could have been worse. It could have been two of them. Could have been two of them, could have been two, but thankfully I have a boy. Any video of you and the kids must show it. Yeah, the kids have actually shown up in several videos, man, going back a couple of years. They make occasional appearances in a video or two. I don't put them in a ton of stuff. But they've probably been in like a handful of videos. I'm sure there's some folks here that have seen some of the kids in those videos. I show them on Instagram a lot as well, just because Instagram is super easy. So all right, hair is hard. Hair is hard to grow. It's hard to do early in the morning. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap this thing up, man. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me a little bit. A lot of great conversation over the course of this live stream. At least I feel that way. If you have not seen these two videos, I want to encourage you guys to check them out. One of them is around whether now is the buying season for comics, right? This might be a good time to buy. It seems like there's a little bit of a lull. How long will it last? I don't know. There are many factors at play. I talked yesterday about census data and how census data can be misleading, especially if you are relying solely upon census data to make buy decisions, sell decisions, or decisions on what to grade, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a good video. If you have a moment, I encourage you to check it out. One thing that people seem to miss is I put it up on screen. I did not go into it in detail around how the history of people cracking slabs to get higher grades, how that contributes to the inaccuracy of data is a good point, right? And I talked about it in the video. I think I showed something, but I didn't go into a lot of detail. But rest assured that every video that you've seen in which somebody says, I'm going to crack this and resubmit it, or to get a higher grade, or I'm going to crack it and I'm going to submit it to this grading company because this one just graded it, but I want to see what grade I might get from this one. All of those things contribute to the inaccuracy of census data. And so for that reason, and many others that I go into in more detail in the video, relying upon census data could be problematic. So if you have not seen that video, I've essentially given you the premise, but go watch it just the same. And then tomorrow I'm releasing a video that will build upon this idea that rare doesn't equal valuable. Rare doesn't equal valuable for several different reasons, which I will explore in a video that drops tomorrow. And again, wonderful thing here. Lightning strikes the championship round. If you are not on Discord, you are missing out on the conversation, and also an opportunity to get a nice stack of books from Dave. He has put together a contest and a bundle of books featuring Black Adam, and you can win this bundle of books simply for participating in a cover contest. All you have to do is join Discord. It's all free. You go in, you vote for the best cover, you get an entry into the giveaway, and this is the last week. This is the last week for it. This is the championship round. He says there can only be one. I encourage you, if you have not voted, to vote today, and you can get an awesome stack of books. All right, with that, a lot of good content left to come out this week. And then we'll be back for the Sunday show. I hope you guys will join me for that. But as always, if there is something you need in the interim, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram. Take care.